When the Morgan family, Jeff, his wife Rachel, and their teenage daughter Lily, moved into the aging suburban home in Tallahassee, Florida, they were thrilled by the space and potential. It needed work, but Jeff, a contractor by trade, saw it as a dream project. On a sunny Saturday morning, he began digging up the overgrown backyard to install a new deck. 2 feet down, his shovel hit something hard. Assuming it was just a buried pipe or old junk, he cleared more dirt. But as he brushed it off with his gloved hands, a chill ran down his spine. A pale, rounded shape emerged, bone, then more bones, and finally, what looked unmistakably like a human skull. Jeff staggered back, breath caught in his throat. Rachel came running, thinking he was hurt. When she saw what he'd found, her scream pierced the quiet neighborhood. Police arrived within the hour. The backyard was quickly taped off, and the Morgans were told to leave the premises. Lily, pale and trembling, whispered to her mom, "We just moved into a crime scene." They had no idea how deep the secrets truly went. Detective Maria Sanders stood silently over the open pit in the Morgan backyard, the morning sun casting long shadows across the scene. She had been with the Tallahassee PD for 15 years and had seen plenty of strange discoveries, but something about this one felt personal. Forensics carefully extracted the bones. Early analysis confirmed it. The remains belonged to a female, likely in her late teens or early 20s. No ID, no clothing, just bones worn, weathered, and long forgotten. "Looks like she was dumped and buried quickly," the lead forensic tech muttered. "Might have been here for decades." Back at the precinct, Sanders pulled old missing persons files. She remembered a particular case from 2005, Amber Blake, a 19-year-old girl who vanished after a party 2 blocks from the Morgan house. No leads, no witnesses, just an abandoned car and a broken family. Sanders couldn't shake the gut feeling. She called Amber's sister, Emily Blake, who still lived nearby. "We may have found your sister," Sanders said softly. Emily's silence was deafening. Then, just above a whisper, "You found her. After all these years, but who buried her? And why here?" Detective Sanders knew. This wasn't just a forgotten tragedy, this was murder. While police combed the backyard for further evidence, Jeff and Rachel Morgan stayed at a nearby motel with their daughter Lily. Rachel scrolled through local news. Headlines now splashed with their address and phrases like "human remains found." Jeff couldn't sleep. Something felt wrong, not just about the bones, but about the house itself. "How did we not know?" he muttered. There was nothing in the paperwork. Rachel, ever the researcher, dug through real estate listings, zoning records, and neighborhood forums. That's when she found it. The Morgan house had sat empty for almost a decade before they bought it. It had changed hands 4 times since 2005, each owner selling quickly and at a loss. One review on an old housing site read, "Creepy vibes, weird noises at night. Wouldn't stay another month if you paid me." The house, it turned out, had a reputation, just not one the realtor disclosed. Meanwhile, back at the precinct, Detective Sanders was digging too. She discovered that the original owner of the house in 2005 had abruptly moved away after his teenage son, Jason Holloway, died in a car accident. Jason went to the same high school as Amber Blake. The timeline was starting to connect. Detective Sanders sat at her desk late into the night, flipping through the 2004 Lincoln High School yearbook. Amber Blake's smile stood out bright, confident. 2 pages over, she found Jason Holloway, shaggy-haired, mysterious. The kind of kid who rarely smiled in photos. They had both been seniors that year. Sanders highlighted their names and crossed them with other classmates. She needed to know if they were connected friends, enemies, lovers. She circled a third name, Tyler Griggs. He had been Amber's boyfriend at the time. Rumors had swirled after her disappearance that they had fought at the party the night she vanished. The next day, Sanders visited Tyler, now a gym owner with a spotless record. His face froze when he heard Amber's name. "I didn't kill her," he said immediately. "I didn't say you did," Sanders replied calmly. "But you knew her well. Did she know Jason Holloway?" Tyler paused, eyes flickering. Yeah, they were friends. He was obsessed with her. Everyone knew it. After she dumped me, he thought he had a shot." Sanders leaned forward. "Did he?" Tyler shook his head. "I don't think so. But he followed her around like a lost dog. Jason was dead. But now?" Jason was suspect. Detective Sanders dug into Jason Holloway's past, looking beyond the sanitized version in his obituary. The official record said he died in a single vehicle crash just months after Amber disappeared. But the deeper she went, the darker things got. Old police reports revealed Jason had been questioned in Amber's disappearance but never charged. His parents hired a lawyer immediately, refused access to their home, and within weeks, Jason died in what was ruled an accident. His car had gone off a cliff during a late-night drive. Toxicology said clean. No suicide note. No skid marks. Sanders paid a visit to the Holloway family's last known address. A bitter elderly woman opened the door. It was Jason's mother, still living alone. "We haven't spoken about Jason or that girl in 20 years, she snapped, her voice raspy. "And we won't start now. But your son was the last known person to be seen with Amber Blake." Sanders pressed. Mrs. Holloway's hand trembled slightly as she gripped the door. "She came here that night. she whispered, eyes suddenly glossy. She was crying. Then she left. Sanders narrowed her eyes. Left how? But the door slammed shut. Someone was hiding something. And maybe Jason wasn't working alone. Detective Sanders returned to her whiteboard. Amber. Jason, Tyler, the Morgan house, the skeleton. The timeline was narrowing, but the motive remained buried. She needed to speak with someone who was there the night Amber vanished. She found Chloe Winters, now a nurse in Miami, who had hosted the party back in 2005. Reluctantly, Chloe agreed to meet at a local diner. Amber was upset that night, Chloe recalled. She'd broken up with Tyler and said Jason was creeping her out. Did Jason follow her when she left? Chloe stirred her coffee nervously. He offered to walk her to her car. That's the last time I saw her. Sanders leaned in. Was anyone else with them? Chloe hesitated. There was someone. Jason's cousin? Marcus. He didn't go to our school. Always hung around Jason. Weird guy. Real quiet. Marcus Holloway? His name hadn't appeared in any of the reports. No questioning, no mention. Sanders pulled up old DMV records. Marcus still lived in Florida, just an hour away. His criminal record wasn't clean. Assault, trespassing, resisting arrest. But no felonies yet. Was Marcus the missing piece? Was he the one who never let the past stay buried? Detective Sanders drove to a rundown trailer park outside Ocala, where Marcus Holloway now lived. His file had a recent mugshot, unkempt beard, vacant eyes, and a long scar running across his neck. She approached cautiously, hand near her holster. Marcus answered after 3 knocks, shirtless and irritated. I'm not answering questions about no dead girl, he muttered before she even introduced herself. I haven't said what I'm here for, Sanders replied. Marcus grinned, a slow, unsettling smile. Then you're wasting your time. She stepped forward. We found Amber Blake's body buried in your cousin's old backyard. You were seen with her the night she disappeared. For a moment, his bravado cracked. I was just there for the party, he mumbled. But you followed her, Sanders said. Jason was obsessed with her, but he wasn't the one seen dragging something into the woods that night. You were. His hands twitched. Jason told me she wanted to talk, told me to wait outside. Then what? He didn't answer. Sanders locked eyes with him. Jason's dead. He can't speak for himself. But you're still breathing. You buried her, didn't you? Marcus whispered. It wasn't supposed to go that far. And with that, he slammed the door shut. The next morning, Detective Sanders returned with a warrant and backup. Marcus Holloway didn't resist. He sat in the interrogation room, hunched over, sweat beading on his forehead. The silence between questions stretched longer than answers until Sanders laid a photo of Amber Blake's recovered necklace on the table. We found this buried with her, she said. Your fingerprints were on it. Marcus stared at the photo for a long time before finally speaking. Jason was in love with her, obsessed. When she rejected him, he snapped. Called me in the middle of the night, said he needed help, said he hurt her. You helped him bury her. Sanders asked quietly. I didn't know she was dead until I saw her body. Marcus whispered. She had bruises on her neck. He was crying, panicking. I didn't know what else to do. Why didn't you go to the police? Marcus laughed, bitterly. His dad was powerful. Had friends, said they'd cover it all up. I was just the idiot cousin with a record. Nobody would believe me. Sanders leaned in. But you kept the secret. For 20 years. Marcus didn't deny it. Outside the room, Sanders made the call. Tell Amber's sister, we finally have a confession. News of Marcus Holloway's arrest spread fast. For Emily Blake, it brought a strange mix of relief and grief. I always knew she didn't just vanish, she told the press. Now we finally know. Detective Sanders, meanwhile, wasn't ready to close the file. She returned to the Morgan home, now cleared as a crime scene, where Jeff and Rachel were debating whether to stay. We don't want to live on top of someone's grave, Rachel admitted, but Jeff hesitated. Maybe we turn it into something good, a place of truth. Sanders nodded but turned her attention to the final thread. Jason Holloway's father, Greg Holloway, had once been a respected attorney. After Jason's death, he vanished from public life, but old financial records showed he quietly paid off several realtors and neighbors to keep the property's history quiet. It was a calculated cover-up. Sanders brought the file to the district attorney. Though Greg couldn't be charged with the murder, he could face obstruction and conspiracy charges. 2 weeks later, he was in handcuffs. Amber's death had been buried not only in dirt but under layers of silence, privilege, and protection. But now, justice was rising, and Sanders had one last conversation to make. Detective Sanders met Emily Blake at the cemetery under a soft gray sky. A new headstone had been placed beside her parents, one that finally bore Amber's name. Emily said, voice breaking. For not giving up, Sanders nodded. She deserved the truth. You both did. The remains were laid to rest in a quiet ceremony. A few of Amber's old classmates attended. Some left flowers, others cried. For years, Amber had been a name on a missing poster. Now she was finally home. Back at the precinct, Sanders closed the case file and tucked it into the archive. It was one of hundreds, but this one felt heavier. She glanced at the board of unsolved cases pinned behind her desk. Faces stared back waiting for justice, for someone to dig again. As for the Morgans, they decided to move. They couldn't raise their daughter in a place where life had ended so tragically. But before leaving, Jeff planted a small tree in the backyard. Something new, he said, where something was lost. Amber's story had ended in the soil, but the truth had bloomed in with it. Peace. Sometimes the dead speak. You just have to dig deep enough to hear them.